It surrounds us. It's everywhere. Tonight, you will hear from the people who live and work within these highly active locations, all in the efforts to discover America's most haunted. With your host, ghost hunter and author, Dan Terry.
Good evening, boys and ghouls. I am Dan Terry, your ghost host with the most haunted, but going to be getting a little bit away from the ghosts. I'll tell you this one. This is going back to about 1973. I would have been 9 years old at that time. My best friend, his sister, invited us to go with her. She was driving, had just got her license recently, to drive to the drive-in theater in Sullivan, Missouri. It was called the Burwan. No, wait, I'm sorry. It was called the Grande. And watch this movie that I had seen advertisements for. And I wanted to see it. And she was going to take 3 or 4 boys, there was about 4 of us there, all much younger, but she wanted to see it too, I guess. And this movie was called The Legend of Boggy Creek. And that was the poster that I remember seeing. That movie scared the hell out of me, folks. It was crazy. Especially, the thing I remember the most, because again, we was in a drive-in, and being young boys, we couldn't sit still. We were out running around. The thing I remember most was these teenagers being caught in a cabin, and this monster, this creature, what we would call a Bigfoot, a cryptid, whatever, huge monster was trying to get into them, and the cabin was not going to hold them off for long. That movie just scared the heck out of me. I thought it was, afterwards, years and years later, I thought it was fake. But let me tell you, every time we went camping after that, I had a hard time sleeping because I just knew Bigfoot was going to come rock our folding trailer. But as time went by, I figured out and talked to other people, found out that the Foulk Monster, is quite real. It is called I hope I'm pronouncing it right, Foulk Monster. It's kind of a hard word for me to pronounce. I've been saying folk, and apparently I'm wrong. It is real. It can be vicious, like any other creature if you scare it. And it is down in Arkansas, apparently. And my good friend Joe Johnson, and Joe is the founder of the Western Arkansas Paranormal, LLC. Joe, he's been on my show, and him and I ghost hunted together years ago. And he got hold of me and showed me these pictures of the Legend of Boggy Creek, the very monster. Man, this is so cool. And he told me about Doyle Holmes. Now, Doyle is a retired paramedic. And you guys know I'm a retired cop, so you know when I say paramedics are the coolest people under pressure ever. But even Doyle said there was some stuff going on. His animals were being attacked. There was weird injuries. He actually owns his property, butts right up to the nature preserve where Boggy Creek and all of that is, and where this monster resides. So him and Joe went out and got some interesting evidence that we get to show you tonight. They were kind enough to let me show you first. So let me bring on Doyle and Joe's voice because Joe's having camera problems. But we'll bring them both up. Doyle, where you at, man?
I'm here in South Arkansas, Dan. It's good to meet you tonight.
Well, it's good to meet you. And to hear your stories, I'm so looking forward to it. But where was you a paramedic at?
I worked in Texarkana, Arkansas, and Texas. I worked in Little River County, all over Arkansas, really, and a lot of Texas. So we skipped around a lot.
So you knew about the legend of this monster. I'm not. It's Foulk Monster, right?
It's Fouke
Foul.
Monster.
I'm gonna have to write that down, or I'm gonna forget it again.
Yeah. Yes,
Okay.
I knew about it from the time I was young. I actually before the movie came out, it was kind of something everybody talked about down in the woods, kind of where I grew up down in the woods. I grew up next to a creek that fed Boggy Creek.
Okay.
So it was common knowledge there could be something running up and down that creek when I was a kid.
Now, in researching it, it kind of shows that the guy who did the original movie in '72, I think is when it actually come out, hit the drive-in
Mhm.
three.
Yeah.
He was a little bit of a con man, maybe. He was faking some interviews and such as that.
Yeah, I've heard something about that, Mr. Crabtree. I knew him in his later years a little bit, and
Mhm.
he didn't come across that way. But I'm not a good judge of character in that. I got to meet him a few times, went to his house,
Okay.
and he seemed like a good fella.
Well, somehow you and Joe got together. Joe, what have you gotten to do here?
Well, actually, Doyle and I've known each other, gosh, over 40 years. They're
Yes.
thereabout. Went to school together. Went to school with his brother and him. Of course, unfortunately, his brother has passed away several years ago, but which leads to some other stories from around his place. But anyways, so we just were talking and got to talking, and I'd always had an interest in the Foulk Monster and the stories behind it and everything. I remember when I was in high school, uh, my then girlfriend, who has also since passed away, uh, was living in Foulk. Matter of fact, her mother and brother still live in Foulk. Um, and hearing her talk about these screams that they heard in the woods at night sometimes, and so, I always just thought, yeah, that ain't real, and just kind of ignored it and blew it off. She eventually quit even talking to me about it. But at any rate, it worked out to where while Doyle and I were talking, that, hey, looky there I am.
Hey, all right.
There you go.
uh,
That's quite a background you got there too.
oh, yeah, yeah. This is my in home studio that I put together. So,
Hey, and you got the
uh,
same poster I just showed on the wall.
yeah, actually, and it's signed by my copy is signed by Pamela Pierce Barcelow, who is Charles Pierce's daughter.
Oh,
She
okay.
now owns the rights to the Legend of Boggy Creek and has remastered it into 4K and Blu-ray and all that stuff, and got it for sale. Legitimate copies for sale on the internet. You can go to I think it's legendofboggycreek.com, I think, and order
Hmm.
the videos from there.
I could probably take
Sorry,
it
I had
better
to.
now.
What's that?
I could probably take it better now than I could at 9. But
Yeah.
seriously, it was Boggy Creek and Kolchak the Night Stalker in '73
Oh,
that
Oh
got me
yeah.
into this whole weird world.
Absolutely. And that's I
yeah.
think you'll find that a lot of paranormal investigators our age, Dan,
Yeah.
they got started watching Kolchak and the Night Stalker, and then you got of course the Legend of Boggy Creek movie, and of course back in the early '70s, of course you got to remember the Patterson Gimlin film had only come out like 5 years before
Yeah.
Legend of Boggy
69,
Creek was
wasn't it?
made. So that was a big topic back in the day. And so we all, I mean, even on In Search of with Leonard Nimoy and
Hmm.
all these other shows that were on the air at that time, we're talking about Bigfoot. And so that's what piqued my interest when I was a kid. And then we got to the point to where it kind of subsided and everything. And then I got back into it again years later, like I said, in the '80s when I was dating my former girlfriend. Then uh, the whole deal that Doyle and I got to talking about is we met up at the 237 Cafe one day just to kind of catch up, and he had brought along his print that he had gotten in, what was it, 2004, Doyle?
2004.
Yeah, in 2004, and I saw it, and I thought, my gosh, there's something there, and I was like, hey, we need to get together on this, and so I've been making fairly regular trips down up until April of last year when we were going to do a public hunt, and that's where on my website you see, you could buy tickets or whatever. Well, we got rained out, so we didn't really get to do it. Now, I was down there. I wasn't going to let rain stop me. But matter of fact, we spent all day out in the rain in the woods, and then that afternoon went up to the Monster Festival because it was on the same weekend.
Mhm.
And I had just happened to get a picture then on my game camera that was of an arm. It was like it was reaching up. It almost looks just like that, doesn't it, Doyle? And,
It sure does.
and
So you're not as hairy.
yeah, I'm not as hairy, but you can zoom in, and it was a reddish orange brownish color on the fur. When you zoomed in on the picture, you could see the fur on the arm. So that really got me interested, and I had left that game camera up. We were going to move them around until we found a spot we thought was good. Well, I think I found the spot that was good. So
Yes.
we left it there, and while at the Monster Festival, I showed it to Lyle Blackburn, and Lyle immediately took interest in it. And he's like, "Hey, this needs to be documented. Can you send me copies?" I was like, "Absolutely." So at some point, he's going to have them in one of his newer editions of one of his books, I'm sure, to get them documented. But when I which you'll get into the pictures that I sent you from here recently, here soon, I'm sure. The reaction that Lyle had when I sent those pictures to him was nothing short of wow. So,
Doyle,
yeah.
I got to ask, because you lived there,
Yes.
when did you realize that this is all real?
Well, I moved there in 2001, and it seemed like stuff started happening immediately that got me thinking about it. You'd go outside at night and you'd hear sounds that didn't make any sense. It sounded like people were talking in the woods. But you're like, well, nobody could be in those woods. I know of those woods, and there's no access to them other than through my yard. But it sounds like somebody's talking in there. But you couldn't understand the language. You couldn't understand it, but you could understand speech. Well, then we started having wood knocks when we'd go out in the woods, and me and my wife would look at each other and they're like, that sounds like wood knocks, like they say Bigfoot does.
Mhm.
And it just on and on, things like that kept happening to get us wondering if this was true. It wasn't until somewhere around 2004 when I had my first sighting and realized that it was actually true.
Okay. What did you see that time? Just
Well, I had been, yeah. Oh, yeah. I was fishing in the lake, and I was working down a slim area of the lake that was heavily wooded with cypress on each side. It was early in the morning. The sun was coming up, and I looked through and saw something kicking around in the water. I actually heard it first, and I saw its silhouette because of the way the sun was coming up from the east. I could see it shining around it, and I could tell the form looked awful Bigfooty. It was standing on two legs, and it was very powerful looking, very powerful. And it was just kicking around in the water like it was looking for something in the water. And I didn't know at the time what it could be looking for in the water, whether it's fish or whatever, something to eat. But I got to watch it for 30 minutes, which it was kind of a big deal. You know, these sightings usually are just happen in a blink of an eye. But I got to witness him for 30 seconds. I knew exactly what I was looking at. And he never showed any aggression to me, but I didn't get it very close. And so he knew I was there, and he seemed like he didn't really care, you know.
Okay.
But it was a good day. That's the first time changed my life and my beliefs that day.
I'll bet. Well,
Yeah.
one of the photos I got, and I guess Joe gets to explain this one.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, this one was taken on Thursday, the 6th of March. And if you look kind of dead center, you see the big pine tree. Just to the
Yes.
left, you see the dark shadow. It is back towards us and walking towards the wooded area.
There is a big, not an oak, but a big tree square in the center of the picture, and he is just slightly to the left of that.
Correct.
Okay. Go ahead.
And so the ironic part about that is Doyle sent me a message that morning. He says, "You're never going to believe what I saw," and he described it to a T. And I was like, "Let me guess, was it around between 8:15 or so?" He says, "Yeah, that's exactly what time it was." And I was like, "Let me send you this picture that just popped up on the game cam from the game cam." And Dole's reply back was, "I'll be darned, you got it again."
Okay, and this here shows it just a little better, but
Correct, yeah.
he looks like a large, muscular gorilla, but walking on two legs, upright.
Correct, yeah.
Yes.
And you can see,
Yeah.
I can even make out the muscles on his back.
Right.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So we figured that we went out that weekend, following weekend, and figured that from where the camera is to where it was standing was about 60, 70 foot. So you figure you're looking at 60 to 70 foot away and it still looks that size. Yeah, it's pretty big.
Yes.
Now, and I'm assuming the next picture you're going to show was the one that was taken on the Wednesday before.
Okay, well, let's get to it. And there was this one.
Correct. And if you look to your left, you'll see the pine tree that's really close. And then if you look just past that, you'll see it standing there in front of the other tree.
Right.
Now, like I said, we went out there that weekend, and as you can tell, it's on an incline. And just above his head, there's a branch that we use to help us measure. It's kind of difficult to see that branch.
Right.
You probably see it looks like it's right on his shoulder.
Yeah, it's on his shoulder.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So we used that, measured that. That was almost 8 foot to the ground on that branch.
It was 8 foot, and that's a good foot before the top of his head.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So we figure between 7.5 to 8 foot to give, I mean, we're not scientists. We don't know all those calculations. But we figure at best it was between 7.5 to 8.5 foot tall.
Okay. And then this shows it a little better on the left there, but it's a little darker.
Yeah. Yeah. It just, and everybody's going to say, no, that's just a shadow. Well, there are no big trees to cast trees that size that would cast a shadow on the tree behind it. And the angles are wrong if you look at the shadows on the ground from the other trees, the angles are totally different.
Yeah. And I had people say that they thought it was a bear, but that don't look like a bear to me. It looks like a human.
No, a bear, its stance would be totally different.
Yes.
And they're just now getting to the point to where they're recognizing that bear have made it back into the Sulphur River bottoms after being not there forever. So they're few and far between. I mean, you can see them if you're lucky, but they're fewer and far between than what you'd think. And that camera has been sitting there for well over a year. And all I've got on it, besides that very first arm picture,
Mhm.
was deer.
Okay.
You would think in that year, over a year's time, that we would have seen if there's a bear in the area, it would have
Yeah.
crossed it.
Mhm.
Well, just to kind of give people an idea, Doyle, this is your backyard, basically, right?
Yes, that's my backyard, just about.
So you're living in the woolly swamp. You're living in the place Charlie Daniels sang about.
Yes, it's yeah, pretty much. Yeah, yeah, that's one of my dogs.
Oh, okay. Thought it was a gotcha. Your dog
Yeah,
looks a lot like an alligator.
yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, you're living in places like this. Now, this was one you sent,
yes,
correct?
that's the yeah that the Google car when he was when they're driving by taking pictures of the road and around inadvertently captured that picture on
Okay.
12 noon in May. Yeah, in the middle of a berry patch, blackberry patch,
Okay.
right off the side of my property line.
That looks surprisingly like the creature in Harry and the Hendersons.
Yes,
And then
yeah.
this is this the original of it, or is this
It's yeah, I believe that's taken off the original.
okay? And then I think somebody tried to enhance it a little bit.
Yeah, that was me. I tried to blow her up.
Well, that one looks a lot better, but
Yeah,
and Joe, you was telling me you thought there was another one on here.
Yeah, actually, if you look to the what is our right hand side and from that view, but it's actually the left hand side of the creature,
Mm-hmm.
you'll see a little. It looks like it's got its hand right there, but its hand is on a juvenile,
Okay.
uh, and trying to push it back down into the cover of the berries so it doesn't get seen. Now,
Okay.
Doyle and I have also noticed. Here's the if you look at the head and the shoulder with the bent arm behind it, it looks like another one.
That's what I saw when you first said that. Is it looked like there was one behind it.
Right. And
yeah,
then if you look even closer, you can see mammary glands on the front of the one
yeah.
that's got its hand on the child.
Okay.
So it looks like we've got a family group there. It looks like we've got a male, a female, and a juvenile.
And then this is the footprint,
That's
Doyle.
that that's a footprint that I photographed in the middle of the Sulphur River. That's probably about I'd say wouldn't it be about 7 miles from where I live, kind of on the other side of the lake, by my from my house. And
Okay.
they had shut off the spillway gates at Wright Patman Lake, and the water had dropped really quick. And I had hiked about 2 miles out in the woods and along that river, and I noticed footprints out in the middle on sandbars, and
Mm-hmm.
you could see in front and around little claw marks in the ground, and it appeared that they had been reaching in the water, picking up mussels, breaking mussels open, and eating the meat out of
Okay.
them. Yeah,
I've never heard that about these creatures before, but that's interesting.
yeah.
Wow. All right. You know what? I've got to go off here in just a second, but I think I want to try to play one of these. I got a one and it says 1.5 minute tree knocks. So I'm going to play this one and then we'll talk about it when we come back. All right, fellas?
Okay.
think I heard a growl or two there at the end too.
Yeah, there was. If you notice, the first two tree knocks sounded like they were a little bit further off because they were, not as loud. And then you hear the two replies after a few seconds that seemed like they were a lot closer. So I think that's one of the ways that they communicate. I mean, you if you ever watch like Expedition Bigfoot, they talk about they'll hear tree knocks. Some sound closer, some sound farther, and that just kind of, in my mind, verifies what they're saying.
Yeah. All right, guys, I'm going to slip away for just a minute, but we'll be right back and play a couple more of those videos you sent. Okay? Stand by. Guys, this is wild. I am so honored that they allowed me to be the one to bring this out and show you. Some of this is amazing. And, oh, wow. Again, as I said, I saw this movie way back when. It scared me. And this is just, it's like full circle now. I'm not afraid anymore because I carry a 45. But it's neat to see this stuff and to think of how real it could be. What I'm going to show you now is also real, and it's not scary at all, at least not at the moment.
Tickets are now on sale for Rebels of Disclosure 2025, May 12th through the 15th in Grafton, Illinois at the beautiful Pierre Marquette Lodge and Conference Center. This will be a 4-day event with 12 speakers covering topics such as ET contact, experiencer testimonies, lost history, secret space programs, time travel, Illuminati, parallel realities, and so much more. Visit journeytotruth.online for more details.
The Unx Network presents a health and wellness spiritually based brand of hemp-derived CBD products made by Hopewell Farm in Harrogate, Tennessee. We apply our Cathara energy work with all of our plants and products. Our products made in small batches with only 2 ingredients of pure hemp, full-spectrum crude oil, and coconut-derived MCT oil. Third-party lab tested for potency and legal THC levels with 6 strengths of 1 ounce oil to choose from. Know what you're buying and get what you pay for from Hopewell Farm. Applied directly to a specific area, Hopewell Farm topical salve in 1 ounce and ½ ounce sizes made with pure hemp crude oil, comfrey extract, and all natural ingredients. Find the Hopewell Farm link and coupon code on the Unx Network website at unxnetwork.com. That's unxnetwork.com.
There's so much we're got to do here, and they sent me so many videos and so much information. I'm not going to be able to get to it all, but I do want to just say right now, unxnetwork.com, drop down on that opening page, check it out, join up. You get a lot out of it, just in case I don't get the chance later, because there's so much neat stuff to talk about. But I'm going to bring Doyle and Joe back because these are the guys who's out there on the front lines of this. Do you ever run into other monster hunters since the place is becoming so famous?
We have not actually out in the field because we kind of try to respect. We don't want cross contamination. Some us out there doing our thing, and then they think they're getting something, or vice versa. But
Sure.
There's several. I mean, you got Chester Moore, you've got Lyle Blackburn, you've got help me out, Doyle. I'm drawing a blank. You got Craig Wilheater.
Yeah, Brian MP. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a bunch of guys.
Yeah. And there's such a big area. I mean, when you think about it, that they may be looking miles from where we are. So we don't run into many unless they give me a call and come down. But yeah,
does that happen a lot?
Well, it's happening more and more, as activity picks up, and it usually does in the spring, and that's the best time to come down and have a look for yourself. Yeah.
Doyle, while you're out there, I know you said something about these things was it picking up hogs? or animals of yours or something?
Well, I've had many attacks over the years. 24 years almost I've lived down there, and I've had livestock killed. I've had horses killed, dogs killed, and I have Connie Corsos, by the way. Yeah, I've raised some of the toughest Connie Corsos in the world, and I've had some of them smashed to bits.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and I've had my barn back wall of my barn tore out one night, and Mama Connie Corso killed and all the babies taken. So yeah, it happens. Yeah, through the years I've seen so much of it. And you were talking about wood knocks, communications. And I've come to know over the years, wood knocks are something you listen to, but if you hear whistles, like a whistle in one direction, another one coming from another, and it sounds sort of human-like, that's the time to get out of the area right there, because they're coordinating something. Yes. And them whistle sounds can be very important and very dangerous as well. And I've learned to get out of there, get in the house when that happens.
This is something I've never heard before. These creatures, these animals, can actually set up a battle plan and coordinate.
Oh yes,
and send signals to each other.
They're extremely intelligent. If you think about it, what if you had an animal with the intelligence of a human being, the sense is as good as a wolf, eyesight, capable of seeing in the dark, hearing far better than us, and scent far better than ours. I mean, how easy would it be to trap that creature or to walk up on it? He's going to know when you're there well before you get in the area. So yeah, and he's going to know where every person is in the field out there, and he's going to know when it's safe for him to attack or for them to attack, and they're going to coordinate on that information.
And you and I talked earlier about, well, the main, I guess, the ending of that movie from '72 was the thing trying to get into the house to go after these kids, which, of course, being a kid just scared the hell out of me.
Oh, me too.
But do they attack? What you're saying now is they actually can form an attack plan and go after it.
Yes, they can, and they do. We keep our kids in. It's sad to say I've got kids ranging from mid-30s all the way to 3 years old, and we have to watch our kids close. And my wife, especially, she's scared every time kids go outside. It's not just Sasquatchers, Foulk monsters. We've got cougars in the area. We've got wolves, and there's other things. And so you have to be vigilant and watch out for them. But yeah, I don't think that they would actually harm us after being out there for a while. But if they had a reason to, and I think I give them a reason one night, but if they have a reason to, then I believe they could very well attack you.
Okay, can you tell us what you gave them? What kind of situation occurred like that?
Well, about 11 years ago, my wife, I was in the woods cutting firewood down by the lake, and I heard something crying. It sounded like a child crying. So I kind of worked my way through the thicket and come up on a little small one. I say small, he was probably about 4.5, 5 feet tall, juvenile. And he was screaming and crying. He was scared to death of me. And as I tried to talk to him, because, this was a very big deal for me to find something like this, I tried to speak to him and in a soft manner, calm him down. He just wanted to work his way away from me into the marsh. Well, I rushed home to get my canoe, and to my wife. I wanted my wife to see this thing. I wanted somebody to see it besides me. And the plan was to put my canoe in the water and get around the other side of it and run it back into the land so my wife could see. Well, the catch was my wife was 9 months pregnant. She was having contractions 3 months apart, and I mean 3 minutes apart. That may make me sound bad, but you know these things don't come up every day. But she was in the truck
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Or just hold off on the baby. Kind of get down, put your butt up. We got to see this thing.
Just cross the leg.
Yeah, that's right. Just don't break water in my truck.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, that just killed me. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, she was sitting in the truck, and I had worked my way around the little animal, and he was trying to get to the other side of me. And finally, he just took off swimming, and I was amazed how fast he could swim. But he got across the other side in a spot called the mound. And after that, he was around the other side of me. I couldn't hurt him back. But at that point, it started to get dark, and I heard yells coming from the woods. There was a yell to my west, and there was a yell to my east, and they were getting closer and closer. So at that point, I got worried about my wife because she was in the truck parked close to where the nest was, where I found the juvenile. So I turned around, started working back as fast as I can to get back to her location. As I started coming up the little canal, I looked down to the truck and I didn't see her in the truck. And I thought, oh, something's wrong. So I docked the boat. I got out, run to the truck, and she just wasn't in there. I couldn't see her. And I run around to open the truck door, and it was locked. And at that point, I looked down, and she had climbed in the floorboard and made herself as little as she could because she could hear them coming from where she was, and she got scared. And she didn't know what to do but lock the doors and hide. So at that time, I decided it was good to get in the truck and go take her back to the house and where we was at for a couple of hours before the baby was born.
That kills me right there. You got to add that story. Well, I'll tell you what, before I go into the Foulk Monster Festival, I want to play this video clip we've got. 2 minutes, 30 seconds, and it's tree knocks, I believe, and some growls.
Okay.
growls, howls? What was we listening to?
Well,
I think some of that was speech.
that's what I was fixing to
sounded
say.
like it, yeah.
Yeah.
There was more than one communicating for sure.
No.
If you notice, some of it sounded again more distant, some of it sounded closer, and I think that there was a small group, probably within a couple hundred yards of one another.
Okay. Would these groups be
And they were
fighting amongst themselves?
Well,
that happens.
yeah. What Doyle and I had been talking about is that generally, if you think about it, springtime is mating season for a lot of animals. So I really think that may be two males more than anything competing back and forth over a female.
So they weren't so much fighting as threatening from across a valley or across a lot.
Some sort of display of strength, I guess.
Not unlike a couple of roosters getting paired up. Yeah.
I've heard in several occasions, one at 3 o'clock in the morning, it sounded like elephants trampling through the woods down there. It sounded like a war happening, to tell you the truth. Limbs breaking, yells, screams. It's amazing what you hear down there. But yeah, there's definitely fighting amongst them. I think maybe to settle which one's the biggest and strongest at times.
Well, it's just like a couple of deer going at each other with the antlers. And
sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
That's something I had never considered before, to be honest with you, but that's kind of an interesting idea.
Yeah.
All right, guys, I'm going to throw this one up. It's 2 minutes, 50 seconds, and let's see what it sounds like. Just get your opinion. Do you think, is that a growl or something? What are we listening to?
I think there was some low level growls, and it may be, starting off as an audible growl, but then maybe going into, you've heard of infrasound, which we can't hear, but I'm sure whatever it was trying to either scare off or maybe even a prey item, that it was trying to get it to deer in the headlight look type of thing, stop them so they can get to them.
Is that more talking, more verbalization?
Yeah, it's more vocalizations. It sounds, if you've heard other people or listen, when they describe what they're hearing, they say it sounds like a combination between a howl, a scream, and a growl. And that, to me, is what we've actually caught on audio there.
As a male, I kind of wonder sometimes, is it a mating type, maybe a mating taking place or a mating call.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And Joe, you got this just recently, didn't you?
Yeah, actually got that. Let's see. The second game cam pick was on the 6th of March. Which is a Thursday, immediately came down that Friday, set that audio recorder up that Friday night into Saturday morning. So from it's about 18 hours long of audio that, and I've still got like 7 hours I've got to go through. So
Just like EVPs, I get it.
yeah. So thank goodness I'm used to that from trying to capture EVPs. But
Let me play one more short one, and then we'll talk some more. That is amazing. There was growls there. I didn't hear the tree knocks on that one, but there was enough there.
yeah, well, there was, I think, about probably 15 seconds in, there was one.
Okay.
So it was light, but it was there.
So what's the plan now? You've got a expedition coming up. Is that accurate?
We are still in the planning and trying to figure that out stages.
Okay.
You know, I that's the difficult part about this time of year. You know, these spring storms will pop up, and then you know,
Yeah, creeks
weather
get
is
flooded.
off. A lot of people are planning vacation times. You got spring break. So it's hard to pin it down. I'm thinking this time we'll try to shoot for something maybe early next fall.
Okay.
That way, because they get active again in the fall as well.
So you're
that way
talking about late September, October of 2025?
Yeah, somewhere around in there. If you could just look at the FoukeExpedition.com webpage. Once we come up with a good, clear, concise date and all that stuff, I'll get Raina Carroll, who's on my team, to adjust the website and get that going.
Doyle, are you going to be talking about any of this or doing anything to bring it more out to the attention?
Well, I'm always available. When anybody wants to come down, or ask me, I'll tell them anything I know. I do get out and talk on time on occasions. Not very often, but it's mostly in forums like this or when people want to talk to me one-on-one.
It would be interesting to have you come up to the West Virginia. They have a big one in West Virginia every year. And
that'd be nice.
Yeah, I think we need to get your name out. Doyle, I'd like to get with you sometime if you guys can send me the number and do some more interviews for a magazine article on the Boggy Creek Monster.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And you've got some incredible evidence. Both of you guys have come up with some amazing stuff here. I don't know what else to say about it.
Well, thank you. We just, I think we just got lucky, to be honest with you. You know, there are people in this research field that spend years and years and years trying to get what we got in a matter of 4 days. You know,
what I benefit from is living there.
Yeah.
And some people, a lot of people come and visit from time to time and they get lucky. And you still have to get lucky when you live there, because I'll go outside and I'll hear something yell or something. I'll hit my camera to record it, but then it stops. So there's still a lot of luck involved.
But you're there trying, so you're more likely to get it if you keep working on it.
That's true.
I am really surprised, and Doyle, you and I spoke a little bit earlier, that you're not one of the speakers at the Foulk Monster Festival, whatever they call that.
Yeah. Well, I've been asked to do it some. I tell you the truth, I stay busy a lot, and I hardly get a chance to do stuff like that. And I would really love to. It would be great. But sometimes I show up, I end up speaking, but usually the little crowds, afterwards and stuff like that.
I think you two need to work up a program and become speakers at some of these festivals because, like you said, the evidence you've got is stuff these other guys have never gotten.
Yeah. That's true.
We're very fortunate in that aspect. I was talking to Doyle on chat. What was it? I guess the day before yesterday or something. I was like, man, this stuff's starting to make some waves. We're starting to get a lot of recognition from it. When I told Doyle that I wanted to, figure out a way to get this out there, Dan, you were the first person I thought of. You and I have known each other, gosh, going on 20 years, I think.
Or more.
So,
yeah.
Or more. So it's you're the one that I wanted to break it out and show it publicly for the first time in this kind of forum.
Well, I am absolutely honored that you thought of me, Joe. And Doyle, thank you guys for coming on.
Fine.
Doyle, I kind of wish you'd have been there when we was in that old brothel and the ghost was stomping up the steps at us.
That would have been scary.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Scary is your pregnant wife disappearing right after you saw this creature.
Oh yeah, that was scary. Yeah.
Guys, if you get some more good evidence or you find some of the old stuff, would you guys call me and we'll get back on here again? This has been, well, for one thing, guys, seriously, it's been a trip back to my 9-year-old self. Sitting at the drive-in theater, ducking under the seat and being scared to death.
Yeah.
Well, you have an open invitation anytime to come on down, and we'll see if we can bring out that 9-year-old again.
Well, just keep in mind, I'm not going into any cabins in the woods. They're coming after us. Okay. I saw one up. And of course, I carry a gun, being a retired cop. So.
Yeah.
And I have to bring a rifle on this one. All right, yeah. Joe, good luck with everything you're doing. Doyle, thanks for coming on, guys. You've been awesome.
My pleasure.
We'll talk again real soon. And like I said, Doyle, if you would give me a phone number and we'll set up a time, maybe an email address, so I can have a longer conversation with you about this.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, thanks, fellas. And Joe, I need you to be part of it too, okay?
Absolutely.
All right, guys. Have a good night, and thanks again.
You too.
Wow. Guys, this has been one of the most amazing shows I've had the opportunity to do. Again, from my childhood, going to that drive-in and seeing the Legend of Boggy Creek, which really probably a 9-year-old kid shouldn't have seen, especially one with my imagination. But this has just been such a great interview, and the thoughts of it, the creature living in the swamps, possibly attacking if it feels like you're threatening its young, which makes perfect sense. Everything, snakes, humans, deer, they all will attack to protect their young. Even rabbits. I have seen rabbits flat fight a snake that was coming too close to its home to get it to turn. So it only makes sense. So much of this opens up all new categories of it. And I guess I'll get off the off the soapbox now. But again, I want to thank Joe and Doyle for coming on. Their evidence was amazing. And it was just a really fun interview. And for all you guys, hey, don't go to drive-ins with 9-year-old kids when it's that scary. What I need you all to do is stay home and stay spooked. Good night.